All right, welcome back. We are going to start our second practice test for the ACT prep. So here's 60 more problems for you to practice. Good luck. We'll hit pause, come back when you're ready. All right, it says triangle ABC is an isosceles triangle, which means your base angles are equal and so are the sides. So it says with a measure of angle C equal to 110. So the obtuse one is 110 degrees. What is the measure of angle B? So they said C was 110 and they want to know what these two are. Well, I know that they both have to be the same measure because it's isosceles. So if this is x, then this is also x because they have to be the same. So I can say 2x plus 110 has to equal 180. So take away 110, I get 2x has to equal 70. Divide by 2, and x has to equal 35 degrees each. That's 35, and that's 35. Again, they have to match because it's isosceles triangle. Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got H. So it says Mary has saved 160 of the 250 she needs for rent. She takes home $6 an hour from her part-time job. Mary works the same number of hours each day for 3 days. How many hours does Mary have to work each day to take home enough money to pay the balance of her rent? All right, so she has 160. She needs 250. So she already has 160. That's going to leave. She's got to make $90 more. Well, she makes $6 an hour. So 6 times the number of hours she needs to work has to add up to the $90 that she needs. So to figure out how much money how many hours she's going to have to work, I'm going to divide by 6. And that gives me she's got to work 15 more hours to earn the money. Well, she's going to split that into 3 days. So if I split that into 3, I get 5 hours each day. For the 3 days, we'll give her a total of the 15 hours. Times 6 is the $90 she still needs for her rent. Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. All right, and hopefully you got T. It says Basil earns $6 an hour when he works up to 8 hours in a day. Basil earns $9 an hour for each hour over 8 hours a day that he works. If Basil earned $84 on Tuesday, how many hours did he work that day? Well, we know that for 8 of those, for 8 of those hours, he's going to make $6. So he's going to make $6 for the first 8 hours he works. Plus, he's going to make $9 for each hour over 8 that he works. And that has to come out to $84 total. Okay? So, if I simplify this mess, I'm going to have 48 plus 9x equals 84 minus 48. I get 9x equals 36. Divide by 9. And I get x equals 4. So he's going to work 8 hours at $6 an hour, and then he's going to work 4 hours at $9 an hour, and that'll give him a total of 12 hours total. Because they want to know how many hours did he work that day. Well, he worked 8 hours at $6 an hour and 4 hours at 9, which gives me 12 hours total. Okay. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Okay, in the equation, D equals RT, where D equals distance, R equals rate, and T equals time. If you travel a distance of 260 miles in 4 hours, at what rate are you traveling? Well, here's my formula. They gave me the distance, so that's 260. They gave me the time, which is 4 hours, and they want me to figure out the rate. Well, to get R alone, I'm going to divide by 4, and I get the rate is 65 miles an hour. Okay. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got D. It says in the figure below, lines P and L are parallel. Line T is a transversal that crosses L and P, but is not perpendicular to them. Which pair of angles is not supplementary? Well, 1 and 8, they are supplementary because they make a straight line. 2 and 3, it's not obvious that they are, but I can prove that they are, because if I say that angle 2 is equal to angle 6, because they're corresponding, so if 2 equals 6, then this could be 2 here, when with 3 makes a straight angle, so yes, they do. Angles 4 and 5, obviously, they make a straight angle, so those are supplementary. 3 and 5, those are vertical angles. Okay, those are not supplementary. They're equal to each other. Okay, so unless they were 90 degrees, which it says that they aren't, because it says it's not the transversal is not perpendicular. So no, those are not supplementary. And then 6 and 7 are, for the same reason 2 and 3 are. I could say that 7 is equal to 3, so I could put 7 here, which means 7 and 6 do make a straight line, which is supplementary. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Oops, sorry. Okay, so when I was going through the lesson on this, I showed you how to put your TI-84 into scientific mode, and then you could just type it in and it'll automatically give you your answer in scientific notation. But again, in an ACT type situation, I mean, no, it doesn't take long to switch the mode, but then you forget the mode, and then the next time you use your calculator, it's in the wrong mode. I mean, really, if you type this in the calculator, you're going to get 3, 7, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5 zeros. Well, you know for scientific notation, the decimal needs to go right there, which makes my scientific number 3.75 times 10 to some degree. The degree is going to be how many places I'd have to move to put it back to where it started, which was at the end of the number. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places to the right. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, and this is just a straight equation. It's got 0.04n equals 3.626. So to get n alone, I'm going to divide by 0.04, divide by 0.04, and I get n equals 90.65. Alright. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got G. Alright, it says when x does not equal 3, because if x did equal 3, that would make the denominator 0, which is illegal. But when x doesn't equal 3, what does this simplify down to? Well, the trick here is whenever you see a fraction with polynomials, factor, 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 factor. The top is difference of squares. So x squared minus 9 factors into bino, plus n, mino. And to get your roots, if you remember from our review, you just take the roots of these. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 9 is 3. So there's my top. Bottom, there's nothing I can factor. That's just going to stay x minus 3. But now you can see that those will cancel, so all that's left is x plus 3. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And you get C. What is the value of the expression for y equal 3? They're telling you to take out the y's and replace them with 3. And then simplify. Well, you got to square first, which is 9. Distribute is negative 6. Plus 3 comes down. Distribute, that's 27. Minus 6 is 21. Plus 3 is 24. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got shape. Alright, it says a sweater is on sale for $38.25 after a 15% reduction from the original price. What was the original price? Well, I don't know. But if there was a sale, whatever the original price was, alright, I'm going to take away 15% of that price. Okay, and remember, of means multiply. So it's going to be the original price, take away 15% of that price, and that's got to come out to the sale price, which is $38.25. So to solve this, I can combine like terms. 1 take away 0.15 would be 0.85x's equals 38.25. Divide by 0.85, and I get x equals $45. Okay. Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got B. Okay, if you recognize bino, trino, minus, plus, plus, you should recognize that this is difference of cubes, FOILed out. Or factors, sorry. Okay, so that would tell me without doing any math that it's that. But if you didn't recognize that that was bino, trino, minus, plus, plus, you can always not FOIL it out, but distribute it, and you'll get the same thing. So x times x squared would be x cubed. X times 4x would be 4x squared. X times 16 would be 16x. And then we distribute the negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times 4x is negative 16x. And negative 4 times 16 is negative 64. Well, when you clean this mess up and you combine like terms, there's the only cube. 4x squared and negative 4x squared cancel. 16x and negative 16x cancel. And negative 64 drops. So that's what it's equal to. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, if a car travels 75 miles in 2 hours, how far will the car travel at the same rate in 5.5 hours? Well, first of all, I got to figure out the rate for the 2 hours. Well, again, distance equals rate times time. So it took 75 miles was its distance. It took 2 hours, and I don't know the rate. So to figure out the rate for this traveling time, divide by 2, and I get the rate is 37.5 miles per hour. So now they give me a different scenario and say, how far, that's distance, will the same car or the car travel at the same rate, which is 37.5, in 5.5 hours? So distance equals rate times time. My rate stayed the same as over here, and my time changed. So you multiply those out, and you get the distance is 206.25 miles. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Okay, in the diagram below, line segment AB is 8 units long. And I can tell by these marks that this length is equal to this length. So if the whole thing is 8, that's got to be split into 4 and 4. And the line segment CD is 6 units. Well, again, because of these marks, I know that 6 is split equally to 3 and 3. It says the two segments are perpendicular bisectors of each other. Bisectors, that's why those lines are there. Another line segment, DB, joins the endpoints of segments AB and CD. How long is the line segment DB? Well, this is a right triangle, and it's the most famous one of all, the 3, 4, 5. I mean, you could do Pythagorean theorem. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. 9 plus 16 equals hypotenuse squared. That's 25 equals hypotenuse squared, square root, and you get the hypotenuse equals 5. But it's a lot easier if you just remember the most famous right triangle of all, kind of like the most famous reindeer of all. It's getting close to Christmas. Alright, the most famous right triangle of all is the 3, 4, 5 right triangle. Alright, try this one. So pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got J. A floor is in the shape of a triangle that has an area of 24 square feet. If the base is 2 feet less than the height, which equation will be used to find the height of the triangle? Well, this would be the height, and the base is height minus 2. Well, to find the height, I need to get my area, because they told me area, so I know I'm using the area formula. Well, area equals base times height divided by 2. So my area is going to be my base, which is h minus 2, times my height, which is h, over 2. But they told me the area was 24. And I don't see that there. So this is what I would do. This is what I would set up to find h. Well, that answer isn't there. Again, don't panic and think, oh, I did something wrong. See if they wrote your answer in a different way. Well, I notice other than this one, all this side is 48, which is double that. Oh, they got rid of this denominator. So times 2 gives me 48 equals h minus 2 times h. And that would be this equation. Okay? Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Okay, in Joan's bank account, which pays simple interest. Well, as soon as I saw that, I automatically think of IPR. Interest earned equals principal times rate times time. IPR. Okay, so it says $2,500 would grow at a fixed rate to $3,125 in 5 years. If she were to place $5,000 in this account, how much interest would she earn after 7 years? Well, first of all, we got to figure out what this fixed rate is, okay, so that we can figure out how much we would earn after 7 years. Okay, well, it says that she started with $2,500 and it grew to $3,125. So to figure out what I is, again, I stands for the interest earned. Okay, that's $3,125 isn't the interest earned. To get the interest earned, you got to subtract what you put in. And when I subtract those, I get $625. So in my first scenario, the interest earned was $625 when she deposited $2,500, that's her principal, times the rate, I don't know, times the time, which is 5. So if I figure out the R, the rate, from this problem, I get 625 equals 12500R. Divide by 12,500, and I get a rate of 0.05, which would be 5%. Okay? So now they're asking, now I can answer the question, because now that I know the rate of the fixed rate I'm using, she's going to place $5,000 in this account, and we're trying to figure out the interest she'd earned when she puts $5,000 in at a rate of 5% for 7 years. So now just type this in the calculator, and the interest earned off of that would be $1,750. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 4 square roots of 6. So it says a window company produces a rectangular window that is 12 feet high and 8 feet wide. They also produce a square window that has the same area as the rectangular window. So how long in feet is each side of the square window? Well, this area equals this area. Well, this area is going to be 12 times 8, which is 96. So the area here is also 96. Well, a square has sides that are the same. So to get this area, it would equal side times side, which is side squared. So to figure out what one side is, I'm going to square root, and I get S equals, break down 96, by 2 is 48, by 2 is 24, by 2 is 12, by 2 is 6, by 2 is 3. Perfect square 2, perfect square 2, not perfect, go back in. That is 4 square roots of 6. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, a video store has 20 copies of a movie that each rent for $3 a day. If 75% of those copies are rented on one day and 90% of those copies are rented the next day, how much money was collected from renting this movie on both days? Okay, well on the first day, 75% of those copies, of means multiply, so 75% of the 20 were sold or were rented on one day. And we're not going to add yet, but and 90% of the 20 were rented the next day. So what I got to figure out is how many movies this is. Well, if you type that in, you get 15. So that means 15 movies were rented on this day. And 90% of 20, if you take 0.90 times 20, you get 18 movies. Well, they didn't want to know how many movies were rented on both days. They want to know how much money was collected. Well, if you take 15 movies rented on the first day times $3 of each, and the 18 movies rented on the next day times $3 each, that gives you $45 plus $54, which makes $99 in 2 days. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got J. In the figure below, line L and M are parallel. Line T is a transversal that crosses both L and M. Given that angle 1 is 35 degrees, what is the measure of BAD? So they want this measure. Well, if I know this angle is 35, then I know that this angle is 35, and I know that that's a straight angle. So angle BAD is going to equal 180, take away 35, and that gives me 145 degrees. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got, I'm thinking 2? Yeah, 2. Alright, you got a system of equations. When I see systems and I don't see a letter with a coefficient of 1, I'm doing substitution. And I want to eliminate the x's. So I'm going to multiply the top by the bottom x and the bottom by the top x. If they come out the same, you make them different signs. If they come out with different signs, you make them the same. They both came out positive, so I'm going to make one of them negative. Doesn't matter which one, I just always choose the bottom. So distribute the 9 all the way through on top. I get 18x plus 27y equals 36. On bottom, I get negative 18x, negative 15y, and a negative 36. Well, those cancel and those cancel, which gives me 12y equals 0. Divide by 12, and I get y equals 0. So I'm going to substitute that back in so I can figure out the x. So 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 4. That's 2x equals 4 because that's nothing. Divide by 2 and x equals 2. And they didn't want the value of y, they just wanted the value of x. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, so to do this one, now guys, again, in my tutorials and my videos, I showed you how to do this on the calculator. You would just type in 3 divided by 5 plus 3 divided by 15, get your answer, and math enter it. Alright, but if you didn't have a calculator, you would need a common denominator, which would be 15. So times 3 would make that 9 fifteenths plus 3 fifteenths would give me 12 fifteenths. Okay, so I'm just doing parentheses first. So then I got times 5 minus, and I'm going to do those parentheses. And in these parentheses, when you divide, it's keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep the 3/4, change to times, flip this over, and that gives me 12 over 4, which gives me 3. Okay, so that's 3. I did my parentheses. Now you've got a multiply and a subtract left. Order of operations says we multiply first. Alright, this would be well, you could do this several different ways. You could go ahead and multiply this right now and get 60 over 15 minus 3. And then that would give me 4 minus 3, which gives me 1. You could have also reduced this and said that 3 goes into both of those, so 4/5 times 5 minus 3, that would be 20 over 5 minus 3, which would be 4 minus 3. Again, you'd get 1, however you tried to deal with that fraction. Okay? Alright. Try this one. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got E. Alright, parentheses first. I got to distribute this negative. It's going to give me negative 3x minus 5. I'm going to bring down the minus 2x. So I'm just working on parentheses right now. And I'm going to distribute this 2x, which gives me a positive 4x squared plus 6x. So now it's just a matter of combining like terms in quadratic order, in other words, highest degree first. And I have negative 3x, negative 2x is negative 5x, plus 6x is positive 1x, and then bring down the negative 5. There you go. Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got H. Again, I see a fraction, I see simplify, and again, they're always going to tell me what the denominator cannot be, or what the letter in the denominator can't be, so that it won't make 0 in the denominator. So again, I just think factor, factor, factor. Well, on top should be an easy factor because A is 1. So factors of 9 that make 6 would be 3 and 3. C is positive, so they both take the middle. On bottom, I can GCF a 2 out. If I divide by 2, divide by 2, that leaves C plus 3. That will cancel one of them on top, and I end up with C plus 3 over 2. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got D. If x equals 7 in this equation, what is the value of y? Again, if they tell you what a letter is, plug it in. So I have 3y plus 4 minus 2 times something equals 0. And it told me to make the x 7. So distribute, I get 3y plus 4 minus 14 equals 0. Combine like terms, I get 3y minus 10 equals 0. Add 10, I get 3y equals 10, divide by 3, and y equals 10/3. That's not there because they went mixed number. 3 goes into 10, 3 whole times. Take away 9 leaves 1, so it's 3 and 1/3. Okay? Alright, hit pause, try this one, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got H. In triangle ABC, segment BD is perpendicular to segment AC. If the measure of angle DAB is 25 degrees and the measure of ABC is 120 degrees, what is the measure of angle DBC? So they want to know what this is. And you can't assume that that splits it. If it was isosceles, you could assume that the perpendicular to the base would split it in half, but it's not isosceles, so we can't do that. Anyway, well, what I could do is I could figure out angle C from the big triangle. If I'm looking at the big triangle, 180, take away 120, take away 25, leaves 35 degrees. So angle C has to be 35. Well, now, if I look at my little triangle has 180 degrees in it. Take away 90, take away 35, and you get 55 degrees left for right here. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 720. Alright, 6 runners begin a race. If all the runners finish and there are no ties, in how many different orders can the runners cross the finish line? This has to do with when we were talking about counting techniques. Well, you got 6 runners. Somebody's going to come in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. First pace, you have six people could fill that spot because there's 6 runners in the race. But whoever wins first, now there's only 5 people left for second, 4 people left for third, 3 people left for fourth, 2 people left for fifth, and only 1 person left for 6th place. So you multiply all those together and you get 720. Okay? Try this one. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got G. Okay, when I looked at this, it's like for all positive values M and N and P. All this says is that whatever N is between M and P. Okay, with P being the smallest and N being the biggest. Which of the following statements is always true? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick random values for this. So let's see, I'll pick, what did I pick? N I picked as 2, so M I picked as 3, and P I picked as 1. And does that make sense? 2 is smaller than 3, 1 is smaller than 2. 3 is bigger than 2, 2 is bigger than 1. So I'm going to pretend that M equals 3, N equals 2, and P equals 1. And I'm just going to see if it's true. Does it always true? Well, if it's always, then everything should work no matter what I pick. So if I try F, I'm going to have 3 plus 2 is less than 1. 5 is less than 1. That is false. So that's not true. 2P plus M greater than N. This is for G. 2 times M, 2 times P, sorry, plus M is greater than 2. Well, this would be 2 plus 3 is 5, greater than 2. That's true. And again, once you find it, in a real ACT, I would not check the rest of them. Once you find your answers, you're done. Move on. But again, just for practice sake, let's look at them. So if I look at H, I would have P, which is 1, plus N, which is 2, and that claims it's less than 3. That's 3, which is not less than 3. Now, if that was less than or equal to, it would be true, but 3 is not less than 3, so that's false. Okay, if I test J, it says 2 times N, which is 2, minus M is 3, is greater than 1. That's 4 minus 3. 1 is equal to 1, but it's not greater, so that is false. And then finally K says 2 times 3 plus 2 is less than 1. This is 6 plus 2 is 8, which is not less than 1. That's obviously false. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, it says in the right triangle shown, cosine theta. So they're standing here at theta, and they're taking cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. So they're telling me that adjacent to me is a length of 6, and the hypotenuse has a length of 10. And they want me to find this length. Well, now that I know those two, Pythagorean theorem. So I have leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. So b squared equals 100 minus 36. This is 100, this is 36, minus 36 from both sides, yeah? And that gives me b squared equals 64 square root, and I get b equals 8. Okay? Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got okay. It says find the values of y in the following equation. You could do lots of different things here. When I see a fraction equal a fraction, I'm gonna cross multiply. There's a theorem that says this is a proportion, and to solve a proportion, the rule is the product of the extremes has to equal the product of the means. Your extremes are always this way. Think of it as skiing downhill. That's extreme. So I would take 2y plus 3 times 6 plus y. And the theorem says that that has to equal the product of the means. Think of means as it's really mean if you have to ski back uphill. Okay, it's not going to be very fun. But you multiply those two together. So that's going to be y over 3 plus 2 times 3y. Alright, so if we clean this up, on this side I'm going to have 2y times 6 is 12y plus 2y squared plus 18 plus 3y. Okay, combine like terms, and I get 2y squared plus 15y plus 18. And my left side is done. On the right, I need to distribute, and I have 3y divided by 3, or 3y times y over 3, which is going to give me 3y squared over 3 plus 6y. Well, here the 3's cancel, so I get y squared plus 6y. And now I have to solve that, so I need to get 0 on one side. So for me, I'm going to move these two over, so minus y squared minus 6y minus 6y. And I get 0 on that side. 2y squared, take away 1y squared is y squared. 15y, take away 6y is positive 9y, plus 18 equals 0. So now it should be an easy factor because a is 1, so I have y and y. Factors of 18 that make 9 would be 3 and 6. Everybody's positive, which would indicate then y plus 3 equals 0, or y plus 6 equals 0. Minus 3, and I get y equals negative 3. Minus 6, and I get y equals negative 6. And there's my solution. Okay? Give me just a second, please, and I will be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. Come on. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hope you got E. In the figure shown, lines L and M are parallel, and line T is a transversal that crosses both lines L and M. If the measure of angle ABC is 30 degrees, what is the measure of FCH? They want to know this one. Well, if this is 30, then this has to be 150 because this is a straight line, 180. And if this is 150, then this has to be 150 because they're corresponding angles. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And we got 32. All right, let's take care of these absolute value bars first. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2. So that's 16 plus 18 minus 2. And that is 34 minus 2 is 32. Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got C. Alright, it's quadratic. When they want me to find x, they're telling me to solve. When you have to solve a quadratic, you want 0 on one side. I hate a negative squared term, so I'm moving it over to the other side. So add x squared. Now you can't add x squared to x or 6, so drop it like it's hot. And I have x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. Now it should be an easy factor, because a is 1. Factors of 6 that make 1 would be 2 and 3. C is negative, which means only the signs have to be different, and the bully gets the middle sign, and he doesn't. So now if I set him to 0 and solve, x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, add 2, I get x equals 2, minus 3, I get x equals negative 3. Okay, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hope we got 8 feet. A carpenter cuts a rectangular piece of cardboard or plywood in half diagonally to make 2 congruent triangles. If the width of the rectangle is 4 and the cut along the diagonal is 4 square roots of 5, what is the length of the rectangle? So they're looking for that L. Well, it's a right triangle, so leg squared plus the other leg squared has to equal the hypotenuse squared. That gives me leg squared equals, let's not skip that step, plus 16. When I square this, I square the 4 and I get 16. I square the square root of 5 and I get 5, and 16 times 5 is 80. So I have my leg squared equals 80 minus 16, which gives me leg squared equals 64 square root, which gives me that length is 8 feet. Okay. Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, you need to remember the equation for your circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So we're in the right form, which means my r squared is the same as 54. So to figure out what the radius is, we square root, and I break down 54 by 2 is 27, by 3 is 9, by 3 is 3. There's a perfect square, and those have to go back in, which gives me 3 square roots of 6. Okay. Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, in slope-intercept form, so that's y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. It gives me the slope, so I put that next to x, and it gives me the y-intercept, so I put that on the end. Done. Okay, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, the scores on a math test are shown in the chart below. What is the average score on the test? Well, you had a score of 90 4 times. You had a score of 85 6 times. We had a score of 80 2 times. And we had a score of 75 1 time. And that's all going to have to be divided by how many total number of students there are, which is 10, 12, 13. So I need to divide that by 13. If you type all this mess in, you get 1105 divided by 13 gives me an average of 85. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you get K. In the two circles shown below, the radius of the larger circle is 3 times the radius of the smaller circle. If the area of the larger circle is 60.84 pi, what is the area of the smaller circle? Well, if you did area equals pi r squared, they told me the area of this big one is 60.84, which equals pi times the radius squared. Okay, so that's going to give me 60.48 equals 9x squared pi. All right, so now I'm going to divide by, oh, this is 60.84 pi. I'm going to divide by 9 pi and by 9 pi, and I get x squared equals 6.72. So when I square root, I get x equals 2.592296, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's what the radius is, okay? So the radius is 2.59 blah, blah, blah. So the area of the smaller circle is pi times the radius, which is 2.5923 if I round squared. And I get area equals 6.72 pi, which isn't exactly 0.76, but it's because of rounding. Okay? All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. What is the equation of the line that is perpendicular to and has the same y-intercept as this line? Well, this line has a slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept of 3. And it says my line needs to have a perpendicular slope, which would be this guy with the opposite sign and flipped over, and the same y-intercept. So my second b is also need to be 3. So when I write an equation, y equals mx plus b. Okay. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got H. Okay, when you are looking for where a function is defined, you're telling it, or you're asking yourself, whenever this denominator is equal to 0, that is illegal. So I need to figure out anything that could make that go to 0 and exclude it. Well, if I add 2, I get absolute value of x equals 2. So now drop, drop, keep, drop, drop, change. I have to say that x can never equal positive 2 and x can never equal negative 2. Okay. I really apologize. Give me one more second again for all these interruptions. Okay, we're back. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. All right, what is the slope of the line passing through those points? Slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to have my slope is equal to, this would be x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so I'm going to have 5 minus 4, and I'm going to have 4 minus 2. Well, 5 minus 4 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 2. That gives me a slope of 1/2. Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And we got J. Alright, so the formula for calculating voltage of a circuit is E equals IR, where E is volts, I is amperes, and R is ohms. So in my formula, volts go here, amperes go here, and ohms go here. So it says if a circuit contains 4 amperes, that means they're giving me I is 4. And 2.25 ohms, that means they're giving me R is 2.25. What is the voltage? That means they're asking me to find E. So if I multiply those two together, I get 9. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. A line segment. Okay, the only thing I could think of to do on this is to actually graph them and see what shape they made. Alright, so -2, -2, 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they pretty much make a perfectly straight line segment. It's obviously not triangles or a circle or a triangle. This. Alright, solve this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got K. Alright, again, I see this fraction with a bunch of polynomials, which makes me think factor and try and cancel. Well, on top, I notice they all have at least 4 copies of x. So I'm going to GCF by x to the 4th. That would leave x to the 4th plus x to the 2nd minus 1. And again on bottom, I notice that I can factor out an x to the 4th. And if I factor out an x to the 4th, I get 1 plus 4. Well, those cancel. Top is as done as I'm going to get it. And the bottom is 5. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, Jack is twice Beth's age. Alice, who is 14, is 4 years older than Beth. How old is Jack? Well, if I could figure out how old Beth was, I could figure out how old Jack is. Oh, but it said that Alice is 14, which is 4 years more than Ben. So to figure out Ben, take away 4 from Alice, and you get Ben equals 10. So if Beth is 10, then Jack is double that. So Jack would be 20, and Beth would be 10. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 3. Alright, I have to solve this. I'm going to do, you could either factor or you could do a quadratic formula. I'm going to factor, but A isn't 1, so I'm going to do A times C, find all the factors. Rewrite B, 2 by 2. GCF, GCF, GCF again. Woo! Alright, so A times C, 2 times 6 is 12. Factors of 12 that make 7 are going to be 3 and 4. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus or minus 3x plus or minus 4x. I haven't decided my signs yet. Plus 6 equals 0. Now figure out your signs, and C will tell you what to do. Since C is positive, then they both get to take whatever's in the middle. So they're both going to be minus. So now I can go 2 by 2, GCF, GCF, GCF again. Woo! So I can factor out an x on this side. which would leave 2x minus 3. I could factor out a negative, always take the sign in front, a negative 2 on this side. And that would give me a positive 2x minus 3. GCF again, you better have a matching bino or something's wrong. But I do, so one more time, 2x minus 3, and then the other bino will be what's left in the other two. Okay? Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Okay, what is the value of cosine 30 degrees, secant pi over 3, and cosecant 60 times sine pi over 6? Well, first of all, they've got half of the problem in degrees and the other half of the problem in radians. You guys just need to memorize that pi over 3 is 60 degrees and pi over 6 is 30 degrees. Now, you'd think it would be the opposite, but it's not. Okay, so I want cosine 30 times secant 60 plus cosecant 60 times sine of 30. Well, how the heck are we supposed to do all this? Especially when my answers look like that. If I use a calculator, it's going to give me all decimals. And there's no way to make the calculator convert, at least if there's not that I know, from decimal to simplest radical form. So what I'm going to do is draw me a right triangle. Put my theta here. Let's start with the 30 degrees. So if this is 30 degrees, all right, in a unit triangle, this would be 60. So if this is the short and this is the long, this is x square roots of 3, and this is 2x, I do believe. Right? Short, long, height. Okay, now let's make x 1, like we're in the unit circle. So this would be 1. This would be 1 square roots of 3, and this would be 2 times 1. Okay, we can do that because I have the 30 degree angles and the 60 degree angles. So now all you have to do is go stand where you're told and do the right ratio. Well, this says go to 30 degrees and take the cosine, which is adjacent, square root of 3, over hypotenuse, which is 2, and multiply it by secant 60. Well, secant is reciprocal to cosine. So if cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, then secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. So my hypotenuse would be 2, over adjacent would be the square root of, did it again. Cosine of, my bad. Sorry, we're doing secant of 60, so I have to come up here and stand. And secant is hypotenuse, which will be 2, over adjacent, which will be 1. Okay, cosecant of 60, again, I'm up here. And if sine is opposite over hypotenuse, then cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So if I'm standing at the 60, okay, and I'm doing cosecant, then I take the hypotenuse over the opposite, which is the square root of 3. Yeah, now I'm going to do sine 30. So now I'm standing down here, and sine would be opposite, which is 1, over hypotenuse, which is 2. Okay, so I got all that done. Now I can finally distribute and combine my terms. This is going to be 2 square roots of 3 over 2. This is going to be 2 over 2 square roots of 3. Right? Well, what do I notice? Those cancel and those cancel, which leaves me the square root of 3 plus 1 over the square root of 3. Okay, and that would be my solution. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got H. A pizzeria sells 12 cheese pizzas and 9 mushroom pizzas for $2.10. If the mushroom pizzas cost $10.75 each, how much does each cheese pizza cost? All right, well, we're selling 12 cheese pizzas for so much money a piece. I don't know yet. And we're selling 9 mushroom pizzas that we know are sold for $10.75 each. And we know that whatever that did, it added up to $210.75. Well, if I could figure out what this dollar sign is, I'd know what a cheese pizza costs. So get the dollar sign alone. Well, if I multiply first, I get 12x plus 96.75 equals 210.75. Take away 96.75. I get 12x equals 114. Divide by 12. I get x equals 950. Okay. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. All right, which of the following number lines shows the solution to this inequality? Well, they've already factored it, so now it's just a matter of setting the factors to 0 and solving. So I would have x equals 4. And this one, I'm going to add 3 and add x. I'm going to have, no, I want x alone. So I'm going to add 3. Negative x equals negative 3. Divide by negative 1, I get x equals 3. Well, not 3, I get less than or equal to. Less than or equal to. All right. Oh, no, greater than or equal to because I divided by a negative. My bad. All right, so if I graph this, I'm going to start at 4 with a closed circle because of the bar. And that says x is less than. So I'm going to go all the way to the left. My second one says x is greater than 3. Oh my goodness. Sorry, add 3 is positive. Divide by a negative is negative. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to go to negative 3 and go to the right. Well, wherever they overlap is where it should be shaded. Okay? And your circles, your circles, should be E. Your circles need to be filled in because of the bar. Bad hammy. Bad hammy. I didn't notice that circle was open. The real answer, mark that on your, the real answer should be E. I wasn't paying attention to whether the circles were filled in or not. All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. In triangle XYZ, in the diagram below, XY equals 1, YZ equals 1, and X equals square root of 2. Wow, that looks familiar. Oh yeah, it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. When your legs are equal, guys, I promise you, and it's a right triangle. If it's a right triangle and your legs are equal, it's a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Which means the angles are both 45 degrees. Okay, try this one. All right, if tangent theta is 1/2 and the measure of angle theta is between 0 and 180, that means my reference angle can be anywhere in these two quadrants. Okay, well that's going to depend on what my function is. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. And it's telling me that my opposite is +1 and my adjacent is +2. Well, that means if I'm up here, I'm somewhere in this quadrant, would my opposite be positive? Yeah. Would my adjacent be positive? Yeah. Okay, I can't be down here because it's limiting me to 0 and 180. If I draw my reference angle over here, if I drew my reference angle over here, then I would have an opposite that would be positive, but my adjacent would be negative, and that can't happen because my adjacent has to be positive. So it can't be over here, which means it has to be over here. Okay, and then it tells me that my tangent is opposite, which is 1, over adjacent, which is 2. So to get that other side, I'm going to do leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. That's 1 plus 4 equals hypotenuse squared. So hypotenuse squared equals 5, square root. And I get my hypotenuse is equal to the square root of 5. And right there, yeah. Okay, so now they want secant. Well, secant is reciprocal to cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. Yeah, sorry. So my hypotenuse is the square root of 5, and adjacent to me is 2. Done. Yeah? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, so again, I see this fraction with a bunch of polynomials that makes factor. So up top, I notice difference of squares. Bino, bino, plus and mino. The square root of a squared is a. The square root of b squared is b. On bottom, see how both of these terms have an a plus b in them? If I factored out a plus b, and switch colors. What would that leave there? Well, that would leave a 2, and that would leave a 1. So my a plus b's would cancel, and I end up with a minus b over 3. Okay? All right, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got D. So it says triangle ABC below is an equilateral triangle and side AB is 6 units long, which means this side is 6 and this side is 6. And they want to know the height of triangle ABC. Well, to get the height, I need to know, I've got the base, I need to know the area or something else. All right? So what else do I know? Well, if this is a perpendicular bisector, then this is 3 and this is 3. Well, now I have a right triangle, so I would have leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. That gives me leg squared equals 36 minus 9, which gives me that leg squared is 27. Square root, I get my leg equals, break down 27, by 3 is 9, by 3 is 3, so that's going to be 3 square roots of 3 is the length of the height of the triangle. Not that, this.
Good morning, everyone.
No,
All teachers, there
this is the
are
height.
some waffles in the mailroom for writing. They got a lot of fixins, so please come and get some in the mailroom.
Sorry about that. Alright, so try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, a line in the standard xy coordinate plane contains the point 5,3 and has a slope of negative 2/3. Which of the following points lies on the line? Well, if you remember our point slope form, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. If we plug in a point and a slope, okay, plug that in for x, that in for y, and that in for m. then I would have y minus 3 equals negative 2/3 x minus 5. Then you can test your points. If I test 2 5s, they're saying make x 2 and y 5. So 5 minus 3 equals negative 2/3, 2 minus 5. That's 5 minus 3, that's 2. That is negative 2/3 times negative 3. That's a positive. 6/3, 2 equals 2. It works. And you wouldn't have to check the rest of them. Again, for a little bit of practice sake, I will. So if I checked G, I would make y3 minus 3 equals negative 2/3. And I would make x negative 6, negative 5. That's going to give me 0 equals negative 2/3 times negative 11, which gives me 0 equals 22/3, which is not true, so it doesn't work. If I try H, and I would make y4 minus 3 equals negative 2/3, 3 minus 5. 4 minus 3 is 1, 3 minus 5 is negative 2, so that's going to be negative 4/3, which is not equal, so that one's false, and you get the gist. You can do the other. Again, I already found the answer. I wouldn't check them unless I had to keep going, but I was just giving you some extra practice. Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, Jonathan places the bottom of a ladder 9 feet from a wall as shown in the diagram below. The ladder forms a 50-degree angle with the ground and touches the wall 15 feet above the ground. So that's this picture. Using another ladder, Jonathan again forms a 50-degree angle with the ground. This ladder touches the wall 9 feet above the ground. How far from the wall is the bottom of the second ladder? So they're asking me to find this. Well, they're proportional, obviously. So 15 corresponds to 9, just as 9 corresponds to x. So this would give me 15x equals 9 times 9 is 81. Divide by 15, and I get x equals 5.4. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5, which gives me the absolute value of 6 minus x is less than 20. Drop, drop, keep the sign, drop, flip, change the sign. You got to solve these both. Alright, so if I solve the first one, minus 6, I get negative x is less than 14. Divide by negative 1, I get x is greater than negative 14. Don't forget, when you divide by negatives, your inequality flips. Okay, on this one, minus 6 minus 6, I get negative x greater than negative 26. Divide by negative 1, and I get x is less than positive 26. So if I look on a number line, I've got negative 14, everything greater. I've got 26, and everything smaller, so everything in between, which puts x between negative 14 and 26. Okay? Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully got B. They give us all the units, and they want us to know the area of triangle ABC. Well, if these two the 3, 4, 5, if this is 5 and 4, this is 3, well, there's my base. Area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So my area is my base, which is going to be 6, times my height is 4 divided by 2. And that's 24 divided by 2 gives me an area of 12 units squared. Okay, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, if I rewrite this, I'm going to have 7 plus 3i times 6 minus 4i plus 5i, because that negative comes out as an I, and the square root of 25 is 5. So now I'm going to have to simplify this. That's going to be 42 minus 28i plus 18i minus 12i squared plus 5i. Well, now I can combine like terms and get rid of I squareds. That I squared is going to be negative 1. Negative 12 times negative 1 is positive 12. Okay? And I have the 42, which makes 54. So there's my constants. My i's, negative 28 plus 18 is negative 10i, plus 5i is negative 5i. Okay? Alright, go. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 4. Okay, so it says in the figure shown, the length of the minor arc AB is 8 pi over 9. The measure of angle ACB is 40 degrees. Well, these have to be equal. When you cut a central angle in a circle, its arc is the same measure as the central angle. So 40 degrees has to be equal to 8 pi over 9. But what they want to do is me to figure out the radius of the circle. Well, that involves circumference. So if I figure out how much of the circumference 40 degrees is, okay, because this arc, again, this is in radians, this is in degrees. But if I think of this as 40 degrees and a whole circle has 360 degrees, 40 degrees out of 360 degrees is 1/9 of the circumference. So now what I can say is that 8 pi over 9 is equal to 1/9 of the circumference of a circle. Well, circumference equals 2 pi r. So that this has to equal 1/9 of the whole circumference. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 9, which kills that, and I got 8 pi equals 2 pi r. Divide by 2 pi, divide by 2 pi, and r equals 4. Okay? Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you get H. It says, which of the following statements is true for the slopes M1 and M2 of these lines? These lines are perpendicular. Perpendicular lines have slopes whose product is equal to -1. So that's what's true. This would be if they're parallel. Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 4/5. It says in the right triangle XYZ shown below, the measure of XY is 6 and the measure of YZ is 8. What is the cosine of angle Z? Well, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, I got the adjacent, that's going to be 8. I need the hypotenuse. Well, it's a right triangle. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals the hypotenuse squared. So that would give me 36 plus 64, which is 100, equals my hypotenuse squared. Square root, and I get my hypotenuse is equal to 10. So cosine is 8 over 10, which reduces down to 4 over 5. And last one. Give it a shot. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. Alright, so it says the line x equal 4. Alright, the line x equal 4 It'll be 1, 2, 3. It'll be a vertical line through 4. Okay? And they want a line that's perpendicular to that. Well, this is a vertical line because it only has an X in it. The only thing perpendicular to a vertical line would be a horizontal line, and horizontal lines don't have an X in it. They just have a Y in it. Well, this is just another vertical line. That's going to be parallel to it, not perpendicular. This guy is going to have some sort of a slant to it because it has both Y and X, so that's not it. Here's just has a Y in it, which means that's going to be a horizontal line. It's actually right here through 2, and those would be perpendicular. Again, this has both X and Y, there will be a slant. This has both X and Y, there will be a slant. So it's got to be the Y equal 2. Okay? And that does it. So we are done for the second practice test. I will see you next time for the third.